Okay, hello Year 7. This week you will find that you have a bit of science investigation to do in your lesson, and you will find this worksheet in the team. So have a look for this, and I'm gonna try and show you some of the experiments that are done on here. If you can have a go at them at home, that would be fantastic. Okay, so the first experiment we're going to look at is we're going to test the freshness of eggs, and the way we do this is we take an egg, and you'll see that there's some lovely white eggs in the shops at the moment, just an ordinary egg, and we need a bowl of water filled up, and if you place the egg very carefully into the bowl of water, you will see that it sinks to the bottom of the bowl, and you can see also that the egg is lying on its side, and that is a sign that the egg is really fresh. Now, if we take an egg which isn't so fresh, what happens is something quite different. So I've got some eggs which I keep in the cupboard, which are nice and aged, and we've got an egg here, and if I place that egg into the bowl of water, you will see that that egg will stay and bob along at the top, and it is definitely an egg you would not like to eat, because this egg actually is about 2 years old. Right, so now we know that this is a fresh egg experiment. You can have a go at home with that. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to try and create an experiment, which is what I call the egg challenge. And with this experiment, you're going to divide an egg into 5 different sections. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to weigh our whole egg. So I place the egg on the weighing scale, obviously turning it on first. And this egg, in all its fineness, weighs 55 grams. So that's the start weight. And I can actually make sure on my experiment that I write my egg weight in this box here. So we're going to try and divide it into 5 different areas. We're going to look at the shell, the membrane, the yolk, the jelly white, and the runny white. And to do this, girls and boys, you will need 5 little separate bowls. You will need your egg and you'll need a plate. And we're going to crack the egg carefully onto a plate without breaking the yolk if we can. So what you can see is that the egg has a shell, and if I pull at the shell, you will also see that it has what we call the membrane. So I'm going to place all the shell in one dish, and then I'm going to place the membrane in another dish. And I'm going to try and divide the whole egg into its membrane and shell first of all. So there are 2 separate components here. Okay. Now, some eggs work quite well doing this, and other eggs it's a bit more difficult to pull the membrane off. So it's quite tricky, but you could have a go at doing that. All right. So once you have managed to separate the egg shell and the membrane, and I'm not going to do it all here because I want you to have a go. I might have a go a bit later on. We're going to try and now separate the 3 internal parts. So you can see the yellow part of the egg is the yolk. You can also see that there is what we call a jelly white, which is slightly raised from this watery white bit here. This shows that the egg is particularly fresh as well, because the yolk is standing quite proud on top of the jelly white, and that's quite a good fresh egg. So one of the best ways to remove the yolk from the white is if you take a bottle, empty, and squeeze the bottle. I'm going to hope this works. Place the bottle top on top of the yolk, and then open your hand, and you should be able to get the yolk separated from the jelly white and the white. All right. Now the next bit is even more difficult, and you've got to use your hands for this. So what you're going to try and do is you're going to try and pick up the jelly white bit first of all, and you're going to try and place it into a separate dish. And the best way to do that, you can use a spoon if you want, but I think it's easier using your hand. There we go. So that is the jelly white, and you still have the runny white there. And with the runny white, you don't need to hold that. You can just place that into the dish like so. All right. So then you end up having your 5 different components of your egg in front of you. And what I'd like you to then do is, if you can, take each of the component and weigh each part to see if you can then place the different weights in the boxes and add them all up and see if you can get the final weight of the egg back again. So that's an egg challenge for you, and what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to try and photograph your final results if you can, and send them in to me to see how well you've done. Okay, so as you can see, we've got everything now in front of us divided into its parts. We've got the shell, the membrane, the yolk, the jelly white and the runny white. And you might want to now weigh them all separately to see how much each of them weigh. So in order to do that, I've divided them into Petri dishes, and you might need to use saucers or something at home that's you're able to have that's the same. You need to weigh your dish empty first of all, and it is 8 grams, this dish. So what you are then going to do is every time you weigh a product from it, you're going to look at the total weight of that product, and the eggshell is 14 grams here, and I need to then take away the dish amount, which was 8 grams. So you take 8 away from 14, and then you are left with the 7 grams of the eggshell. So that 7 grams can be placed then into your box there.